his name. Tim S.
Tim Schnakenberg.
Close enough.
Tim is an agronomy specialist with the University of Missouri and Extension, and he's been an agronomy specialist for 20 plus years. I don't know if he wants to confess exactly how long that has been, maybe 25 plus now. And Tim is well known across the state agronomy, and he also is the specialist that covers Greene County, but he's headquartered in Stone County. So you don't get to see him as often or hear about some of the great agronomy work he does in this county. So once a year, I think we've had him give an update in the past, and it was time to hear from Tim again and some of his great work. So all yours, Tim. We can see you here at the meeting place as well.
Great. Can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Perfect. Perfect. I wanted to throw a PowerPoint up there just to show some pictures of some things that are going on. And I'm sorry I can't be there today, but I do appreciate the opportunity that David gave to present with you. I've been serving in Extension for 31 years total. First part of my career started in Arkansas, but I've been in Missouri for quite a while and various places around Missouri, but I'm back home in Southwest Missouri where I belong, and love it here, love my work. I love serving the people of Southwest Missouri in agronomy. And I just, as a former county program director in Stone County, I just want to say, I want to thank you for your dedication and involvement and your service to the community, because I appreciate, as well as I know all the staff do, what you do with the Greene County program and how important that is. We understand that. So thank you for being there today and for all that you do. I wanted to kind of start talking about what I probably focus on the most. I mean, I'm like Kelly, I coordinate a master gardener group. I do a lot of horticultural things from time to time, but I probably do more forage related programming, mainly because the cattle industry in Southwest Missouri is pretty dominant. When you think about the fact that the second largest there's a lot of seconds today. The second largest livestock marketing center is in Southwest Missouri. It's the Joplin Regional Livestock Center. That's the second largest in the United States. That tells you something. Springfield is pretty large as well, but we have a strong presence and marketability of products, beef products in Southwest Missouri. Missouri is second in the nation for land use to produce forages for livestock. It's second in the number of farms. It's second in the number of cow calves operations. We've got in Missouri 95,000 farms. And I'd say, compared to 20 years ago, we really produce a lot more in Missouri than we did then, but we have fewer operations. And so that's a concern. We have to do this thing much more efficiently. Specifically in Greene County, I was looking at the 2017 census data last week, and agriculture is a $38.7 million industry in the county. It may have an urban presence, of course, but there's definitely a rural side to it, and there are ag commodities produced in Greene County significantly. 79% of those ag commodities are centered around livestock of some form. It could be poultry, it could be dairy, it could be 21% of it could be crop and horticultural sales. So there's about 1,857 farms in the county. Average farm size about 120 acres. Half of that farmland is used for pasture. That's why I spend a lot of time working with livestock producers. A third of it could be cropland. Greene County is also ranked about number 4 in horses in the state. So, pastures are an important thing. And I want to emphasize too that there's a multiplier effect that occurs. And it's hard to get this data, but from best I can tell, from what we have used and our ag economists have used, we feel like in the beef industry, the multiplier is about 1.9 in the economy. It means it almost doubles. Every dollar spent on the farm almost doubles. In the dairy industry, it's actually about 3.1. I thought it's found it interesting many years ago. University of Wisconsin did a study trying to find out the economic ripple effect of one dairy cow. And at that time, it was $13,700 for one dairy cow. And that cow paid about $512 in state and local taxes. So I don't want us to discount, the impact of agriculture in Greene County. We've got a lot of good things going for us. Specifically in my program in agronomy, I spend a lot of time dealing with the forages, the soils, a little bit on row crops. So we work individually, one-on-one in many cases with producers. And that one-on-one could be on, farm visits that you help to fund. And I think Farm Bureau has been involved in helping to fund some of those farm visits that I could come up there and visit directly with producers, helping to make sure that we have a forage base that we need, that we'd have the pests under control, that we can actually produce a good feed for our livestock. So I do a lot of stuff that's one-on-one in person at times, but a lot of phone calls. Every day I get a lot of phone calls, and also more and more emails and more texts addressing issues with problems. And honestly, where I used to have to stop everything and run to Greene County to look at a problem or identify issues, I get a lot of pictures on the phone now, and that helps for me to identify things over the phone without having to actually make a trip up there and spending local dollars to do that. So, we're problem solving. This is a picture from a couple of years ago where a producer was having some trouble with his wheat in Greene County. I mean, we're just trying to problem solve, determine if there's diseases, if there's soil issues that go on. We have diagnostic labs that we can tap into. We deal with the weather and we deal with pests all the time. These are pictures I've taken recently of the April frost freeze that we had. A lot of calls that day from alfalfa producers. You can see how frosty the alfalfa got. It wilted it down. There were some cases where wheat and rye actually fell down because it was just, it lodged because it was just too cold for it. We've had drought concerns. We had tried to address that problem, trying to get emergency feed. And then this year we had a lot of armyworm issues, and it was very spotty, but some people had some major losses of forage due to armyworm concerns. And then we had resistance issues with some of the insecticides. And so we had to address that, trying to figure out what we shouldn't use in order to keep resistance from getting out of control. This is just one success story I'll share. It's actually from Stone County, but I worked with a producer in 2017 who had just bought 70 acres of hillside ground that was just covered in basically cedar trees and blackberries and sage grass, broom sedge. And I mean, it was just literally covered with a lot of blackberries. And within the course of about 2 or 3 years, I was able to go back there again in 2020 and take pictures of that same hillside. Maybe not the same angle, but it was the same hillside. He had planted novel endophyte fescue on it, which is an improved variety that does not have any negative effect from the toxic endophyte problem that we have in Kentucky 31 fescue. And so he's got a novel endophyte fescue stand out there. And I'm not going to say it's weed free, but it's significantly more productive ground than what he started with. And, we work with producers step by step to make things like this happen every day. I do get your soil test reports regarding the, for forage and crops. And so I sign off on those and I look at them, I sign them, I add comments to the ones that need a little extra comments added. And then often I'll get a call back from the producer. So these soil test reports are very vital, especially since right now price of fertilizer has really jumped. And it just makes absolutely no sense to be buying fertilizer or lime and not really know if you even need it. And so a soil test report every 3 or 4 years is a good plan. We do with COVID, we've done a lot of things differently in the last year. And so year and a half. One of the projects I've been involved with has been the forage and livestock town hall that has been done typically on a weekly basis ever since about April the 8th of 2020. And we have reached a lot of people there. People can get on live. This is the committee that you're seeing that has worked on that specific project from around the state. And we would have an invited presentation. We'd have a weather report and would provide that every week. And so a lot of education has taken place. We're not doing that weekly right now. We're doing it monthly during the winter months, but we've had a lot of positive feedback. And in order to get more and more involvement, we've taken it one step further earlier this year of moving it to a YouTube channel. And so you can get to watch the program live, or you can go to recordings and the views, you start to realize that even if they miss it, they can go back and catch a program. It may have been on Johnson grass, it may have been on Sericea lespedeza or ergot, that sort of thing. They can go back and catch that. We've had a great success trying to get information out to the public to address the needs of Missourians. Something I'm anxious to get back into is to offer local, more live programs. This is a picture of I think the last ag production conference that we hosted in Springfield at the Springfield Livestock Marketing Center. And so we usually get pretty good turnout from that. And I'm anxious to get started and do that again. Typically that's going to be in February. One thing that we've done for the last 34 years or so, not me personally, but we've had a network of industry, well, not so much industry, but agency personnel who work together probably better than anything I've ever seen work in my career, where you've got NRCS, soil and water conservation districts, extension, Missouri Department of Conservation, Missouri State University, all working together to put on a spring forage conference. That spring forage conference, we typically will hit 500 people every year attend that. We did it virtually last year for the first time. So that was challenging, but we are working on having our next spring forage conference at the Oasis, Ramada Oasis, with a keynote speaker and about 16 sessions that are going to be running concurrently throughout the year or throughout the day. That's in February of 2022. So that's a big deal, and it's been going on a long time. Trade show involved and a lot of education that takes place. We've had as many as 750 people attend that in years past. Grazing schools are something that's unique to Missouri, and I've been very much involved in those throughout the Southwest region. There's always one in Springfield. We just had one in September, worked with NRCS on that, and we'll bring people out and teach them how to graze their cattle better. There's more science involved than people realize, and they can gain so much in efficient use of their pasture, and manure distribution is a huge thing, a great benefit of getting an environmental impact of moving manure around the farm more efficiently. This is a picture of the last hay production school that we had. That's something we started a few years ago, and I anticipate we'll bring it back to Greene County sometime, because every time we have it in Greene County, we always have a good crowd. This was on the campus of Missouri State University, the Dar Center. And so that's a school that's not a 3-day school like the grazing school, but it's a more of a 6 or 8 hour school that we do. I wanted to show this too. It's not necessarily agronomy, but you know, we have been doing programs such as the calving workshops, and this is actually that's a dummy calf on the right. We were using cadaver calves, but these are ways of teaching people how to properly pull calves when they need to be pulled, and how understanding the whole process, the reproductive process. And so we give people the opportunity to learn how to properly pull them. It's unbelievable. I have to say this has been a very rewarding program, because I realized that even though many have pulled calves all their lives and addressed calf issues, they don't always fully understand the proper techniques before they actually turn it over to a vet. And so it's been a very rewarding thing. The picture on the left was actually in Springfield a couple of years ago. This was an alfalfa tour that we held in Greene County a few years ago. So we try to get people out in the field on farms so that they can learn firsthand what's going, what works, what doesn't work. Also, I've been involved in what's called the Grasslands Project, and also the Native Grass Group, which has received some special funding from NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and the Missouri Department of Conservation. And we're promoting native grasses. These were the grasses that were here before tall fescue, for pasture and hay, and also for getting a wildlife benefit. And we've already had some tours. We've had a workshop at the Southwest Research Center. We've had Greene County people come to both of these things. I don't have any demonstration sites located in Greene County right now, but I do have about a dozen sites scattered around Southwest Missouri where we have been able to put in 5 or 10 acres, and we're monitoring how they do. These native grasses are really amazing. It's just a little challenging on the front end to get them where we want them to be. Also tied in with the grassland projects, I've been involved with designing, not a lot, but a few grazing systems. This happens to be a 2,000 acre grazing system in Berry County that had 50 paddocks in it, and spent the day with a producer and working with NRCS to make sure that we can get cost share dollars to help promote and conduct these grazing systems. Just to wrap it up, I like to bring research out into the field. This is a research project that was done in Stone County a year ago, where we were actually looking at electrification of weeds, believe it or not. This is an organic tool that's available. It's actually made, it's mounted on a case tractor here, but it's made in Sedalia, Missouri. They sell a bunch of these for organic production. So we were just looking at ways of doing weed control without the use of pesticides. That's really our goal. We don't really want to have to depend upon pesticides unless we have to. And so minimize that. And so we're looking at things like that. And they were also conducting some pesticide application research as well for pasture weeds, which is a major issue for us. These are pictures from this October at the Farm Fest. You know, in Springfield, you'll bring in 40 to 50,000 people to Farm Fest every year. It's really an amazing place, and Extension needs to be present. And so folks like Eldon Cole and Kelly McGowan and Kyle Whitaker and some of our livestock and forage specialists have been able to come in and be there and be present representing Extension there and providing information. We actually had a little grain bin demonstration, safety demonstration there this year. And I always try to, when we get called on by the media, I always try to be available for them. That's an important way to get information out as much as possible. I haven't done as much of the noontime hours this in the last year, but I do see the importance of being available when they call. And so we try to do that, bring them out on farms and answer questions that come up regarding in the ag community. Just some upcoming things. I mentioned the Spring Forage Conference. That'll be February the 22nd. We anticipate we'll have another Greene County Ag Production Conference. And then I'm also planning to work on a native grass workshop in Springfield. We had 50 people attend our last one in Mount Vernon, and I anticipate we'll have a good crowd promoting native grasses there sometime this winter. I don't have it on the calendar yet. I send an impact update to David every month, just about every month. And so, for more details about what I do, it's probably more detailed than he could share with you, but I do try to share all the things that I'm involved with each month through this impact report. So that's all I had. I'm glad to take questions if there are any questions on the agronomy program.
Let's see if there are questions from folks online or here in person.
You might just be curious how aggressive some of your programs are with, like the Johnson grass and some of those really bad pasture grasses and weeds you mentioned. Like, how do you do that? How do you even begin? Because you just drive down and you see it everywhere. It's got to be overwhelming.
I probably get more questions on weed and brush control than about anything. The thing about Johnson grass, though, is that it's also a very good forage. So there's a lot of division between do we want to keep Johnson grass or do we want to get rid of it? And I I guess I have to admit, I work both sides of that division because I do see the value in it, but I also know that there's a state law that says we're not supposed to let it go to seed. So we need to control it as best we can or keep it vegetative. And so it is getting out of hand in some cases. We see a lot more on roadsides. I am actually addressing that specific topic at the Spring Forage Conference myself this year. That was one of the things the committee felt like was very important in Greene County to bring up. And so I'll be addressing that. I address it in many different formats. Get a lot of calls on it. There are some newer herbicides that are on the market if we want to go down that route to use on it. And so I've been educating people about that. So we have done some news releases on it. So it's definitely a hot topic, no doubt. Thanks for bringing that up.